Hi, I'm Avery Davidson.
And I'm Kristen Oakes White. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
It is no secret that Louisiana has some of the best food. People from around the world travel here to experience our culture and cuisine. We also love an excuse to get together with our friends and family to pass a good time.
We sure do. So it's no surprise that a Louisiana chef and a South Carolina hog farmer would join forces for a boucherie. This week, our own Carl Wiggers brings home the bacon from the Fête des Bouchers, our Festival of the Butchers, at the historic White Oak Plantation.
An open fire, a freshly butchered pig, and around 60 of the best cooks and butchers from across the country.
You better cover that stew.
Add to that some Cajun culture and you have the recipe for a good time. Here at White Oak Plantation in the heart of Baton Rouge, you find Chef John Folse sharing something very near and dear to his own heart: Louisiana history.
That's what a plantation like this is all about, is to bring someone into an environment to say, oh, so this is where it all began in Louisiana.
There was a time a boucherie like this was a common event in rural communities across the South. However, this treasured pastime to many is now just becoming a thing of the past.
I think there's probably nothing more important today in the world we live in, the speed of the world we live in, that we stop for a moment and just recognize that all of our past is just not only gone, but the little that's there is fading fast.
Folse is doing his part to preserve the tradition by hosting the second annual Fête des Bouchers. He explains why the combination of this old tradition and the Louisiana culture is drawing a crowd from across the country.
They're here because Louisiana is kind of ground zero for great food, great hospitality, great traditions. We care about families. We care about all of this. And they want to come out and find wine, bring it back to their homes.
The chef's plantation makes for a perfect setting for this event, but he doesn't do it alone. This boucherie would not be possible without the farmer that raised this pig. The relationship between the history-loving chef and a South Carolina hog farmer, Tank Jackson, makes this pair a match made in hog heaven.
Chef Folse is one of my heroes, and we've become great friends. And he and I are partnering on several different aspects of cultural preservation.
This boucherie is the result of their hard work in preserving the culture of the South. But for Tank, that hard work has quite a sweet payoff.
The flavor is so deep and strong, and it's just something for the palate's amazing. So my favorite part about the trip's the food.
Be that crispy with the meat and everything on them. I never tasted one like that in my life.
Louis Ponville of Thibodaux could not stop talking about the hog cracklings made by Jerry Bourgeois and Dennis and Bonnie Snyder.
I'll tell you what, you ain't never tasted nothing better.
But the flavor of the fried pork belly was second only to the hospitality of those behind each table of treats.
People are friendly. They invite you every time you pass by one of the tables. They invite you over to get something to eat. People are real nice, and it's really enjoyable.
This combination of good food and friendly folks is the secret ingredient that makes this event so special. But if you ask Tank and Chef Folse, they say the most important element is the education behind the boucherie that makes them so proud.
Just getting people to be aware of where food comes from. You know, eliminate the plastic wrapper and paper bag from the situation.
This was the school for the future. Normally in Louisiana, 10 different families, the company of the boucherie, they call it Compagnie de Boucherie. 10 families, black, white, Spanish, French, it didn't matter. They all came together because they were the community, and they came with their children. The grandmothers were there, the aunts, the uncles. And what we're doing here today is really trying to not only recreate that, but recreate it in such an authentic way that people realize that this must be preserved.
I can smell these sizzling already.
Chef John Folse hopes to do more of these events in the future, but he also wants the knowledge gained here to be part of the preservation of this timeless tradition. He says that participants can do that by hosting their own boucherie or by simply passing down the stories and recipes learned at this year's events. And you guys, that package can show the sounds and the sights, but it will never be able to get the smells and the tastes through the TV.
You know, that's one of the times where I do wish we had smell-o-vision because, you know, sometimes you don't want it, that story. I wanted to smell those cracklings.
Absolutely.
Now, you're from North Louisiana. You're from North Louisiana. This is really your first big experience with a boucherie. I've been to my fair share in St. Martinville. Tell me a little bit about what you saw, what you learned, what did you think?
Well, it was really neat. It reminded me of a family reunion that we have every year. But what was neat to learn was the way that they would chop up and butcher the pigs and use big tubs, big barrels of fat to preserve the meat, the cuts that they would prepare. And it sounds terrible, but I'm sure back in those days it was absolutely a necessity. But oh my gosh, the food, y'all, was just worth going to any boucherie you can ever get invited to.
Fat carries the flavor, and oh, it tastes so good. Thank you very much, Carl Wiggers.
Well, what would your grocery store look like without immigrants working in agriculture? More importantly, what would the bill look like when you got to the cash register?
Tighter immigration rules coming from Washington has Louisiana farmers, ranchers, and seafood processors worried they could face a future with no labor force.
How much you pay for your favorite corn chips depends upon the price of corn. The same can be said for strawberries and for sweet potatoes. You may notice something about the people harvesting these crops. They're not Americans. Many are foreign workers in the United States legally through the H-2A and H-2B programs.
We probably would not be able to farm without them.
Catherine Floyd is a farmer in Pointe-Coupee Parish. She, like many other farmers in Louisiana, use the H-2A program to get seasonal workers when locals will not do the jobs on a farm.
If we couldn't get our crop planted and harvested out the field, then we wouldn't be able to farm, and then therefore we wouldn't be able to have as many farms, causing prices to increase.
The average consumer really does well under the H-2A and H-2B program.
Dan Brimmer is the president of AgWorks H2, a company which helps farmers get seasonal workers.
They're not taking U.S. jobs because we hire every U.S. worker who wants to do that work.
He says prices at the grocery store would go up without legal foreign labor. That's because of the old rule of supply and demand. If a farmer cannot harvest sweet potatoes or strawberries in time, they rot in the field, which decreases supply and forces wholesalers to import food from other countries.
Our crops will always be harvested by foreign workers. The question is, will it be here in our country or will it be in their country?
Again, just to be clear, employers who use the H-2A program must hire any American who applies for the job. So this program does not take away jobs from any American. If anything, it ensures that farms, ranches, and businesses stay in business.
Well, what could bring more than 2,000 young people to Gonzales, Louisiana for a week of competition? The easy answer is the 82nd annual LSU Ag Center State Livestock Show.
The show does more than grow the future farmers and ranchers in our state. As the participants will tell you in their own words, it also fosters sportsmanship and leadership.
I started 4-H when I was in 4th grade, and I was fortunate enough to be born and raised on a family farm, so I was really pushed into it as a young age, but the more I did it, the more I began to love it.
That lady here is going to end up in 4th.
You have to be patient with all this. You have to win and lose with grace and poise, and you know, you're not always going to do your best, but you have to be patient. And I have a younger brother and sister, so with them coming and being new to this, I have to be patient with them. Responsibility, I mean, that's obvious. Taking care of animals is like taking care of your own child. You have to trust them and they have to trust you, and you have to feed them and do everything that you would to a normal person. And honesty, because, you know, when people ask, oh, you know, what did you win or how did you do? You have to be able to say, I didn't do very well, but I'm okay with that, and there's always next year, and, you know, there's always a next show and always a next time.
From as young as I could hold a stick, I was showing hogs.
I've been showing livestock for 6 years.
Come experience it for yourself, and I promise you, you won't want to do anything else.
The Southern Bull contrasts quite a bit. He went in last class in this Charlotte Bull division.
My friends always show livestock since they could, because they grew up with their families. And me, I went home one day to my parents. I said, I got to get in on this because I seen the skills that it taught you, the determination and the respect. And that's the things that teach me, and the responsibility as well, because you have to be at the barn every day to take care of your animal. It's no slacking. It's just as well. It's just like taking care of another human. You have to be there for it all the time.
I have a very, very strong love of animals. So just coming, working with the animals, showing my animals gives me personal satisfaction just because I have such a love for them.
I hope this leads me to be like a more respectful person and somebody that the younger 4-Hers can look up to, because as growing up, I looked up to the people who showed livestock and the leaders. So that's the person that I strive to be ever since the 4th grade when I joined 4-H.
Special thanks to First South Farm Credit for letting us use their backdrop for those interviews. If you would like to see all of the winners from this year's Livestock Show, visit our website at twilatv.org.
This week is National Grain Bin Safety Week, a timely topic for us in Louisiana. Just 3 months ago, 37-year-old Christopher Albert of Madison Parish died after getting stuck in a grain bin. In 2015, 14 people died after getting trapped in grain bins, according to Purdue University. That's why the Louisiana Farm Bureau is hosting a series of grain bin safety and rescue training workshops to prevent the next death. Louisiana Farm Bureau Safety Director Wendell Miley says when grain is flowing from a bin, you can become trapped in as few as 15 seconds. However, once you are trapped, it may take first responders up to 3 hours to cut their way into the metal grain bin, construct a rescue tube, and actually pull you to safety. That's why prevention and training for first responders are so important.
The time that you have to live if you're completely submerged probably is very slim compared to the time it would take for the actual rescue to happen. So the big focus of these grain bin programs is prevention. What do you do to prevent yourselves from getting in that predicament to where rescue does need to happen? We're trying to educate the public, the farm community, on what you need to do to prevent that from occurring.
The Louisiana and Mississippi Farm Bureaus are hosting grain bin safety and rescue training workshops on Monday, February 27th at Angelina Grain in Vidalia and at Haas Auditorium on Highway 29 in Bunkie. Another one on Tuesday, February 28th in Shreveport, and a 4th workshop on the evening of March 1st at Double M Farms on Highway 15 in Rayville. You can find out all the information to register on our website at twilatv.org. And Avery, we will be at the one in Vidalia, and we're going to put a very special farmer in the tank and show it on Facebook Live.
Facebook Live, Monday the 27th. It's around 6 p.m. is when you're going to push Landon into the grain bin?
No, I think it's a little bit earlier during the day. I want to say about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's going to be an early start for him to get stuck in the grain bin. Facebook Live, so you'll be able to see everything it takes, because I've been in that grain bin before. You don't just go get sucked in and then pull yourself right out. It takes a while.
Yep, and we'll just see if he gets out or not.
You know, after that, I don't know if you'll get flowers.
Well, still to come on TWILA, it's where South America meets South Louisiana. This fusion cuisine is our newest installment of Feasting on Agriculture, up next. In this month's edition of Feasting on Agriculture, AJ Sabine explores the flavors of Venezuela at a new farm-to-table restaurant named Cocha.
Founded in December of last year, Cocha's focus is on local flavor with international flair. Located in downtown Baton Rouge, AJ shows us 3 dishes and wine pairings that will blow you away with fresh ingredients found right here in Louisiana.
Folks, I'm AJ Sabine and welcome to another exciting edition of Feasting on Agriculture. This month, I take you to Venezuela via Baton Rouge at the new restaurant, Cocha. Joining us now is owner Saskia Spanoff of Cocha, Baton Rouge. This is a beautiful, beautiful bar, and you have an extensive experience with wine. Tell us about that.
Well, I got into wine when I was in the restaurant business. Ended up opening up the first Fleming's in Newport Beach, developed their wine program for them. Paul gave me a beautiful opportunity to do that. And I did that for a couple years with him and the concept, and then I was wooed away by the wine industry.
Joining us now is sous chef Caitlin Alanez from the great state of New Roads. So we're going to Venezuela by way of New Roads, right? So hook that up. What are we making today?
We are doing a Chia Pinot with crawfish. We've been doing it with shellfish, you know, the regular redfish. Now we're going to throw a little crawfish in there for crawfish season. And then we're also going to do the vegetable paella.
Well, let's dive in. I love paella.
All right. So
what do we start with?
First of all, we start with the redfish. We got to get that going, let it go down. For the paella, I have my vegetables here. Tomato confit with Brussels sprouts, squash, all roasted. To go in there, just a little bit of veggie marinade. Just a basic shallot, garlic marinade for that. Those are gonna get hot. While this fish is going, I'm gonna go ahead and add my shrimp.
Beautiful shrimp. Now, for people who are not familiar with a cioppino, ciopinos are very famous in San Francisco because of the shellfish, right?
Yes.
Tell people what that is.
Local, the reason the cioppino originated was because they could get all that fresh shellfish right off of their coast. So it was just basically a fisherman's stew, you know, like a poor man's dish to begin with. All the scraps, anything you can work with after the fact.
Why do you think I have a restaurant segment so I can eat? Because I'm poor. That's what I'm telling you.
So a few mussels.
Look at that beautiful Louisiana crawfish.
Back on.
Now, Caitlin, you're from New Roads. Have you heard of the illustrious blue crawfish? Were you aware that there's a blue crawfish?
I've seen blue crawfish once before.
Are they taste just as good as regular crawfish?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
So paella down.
Uh-huh.
This is a little bit of paella broth. It's got a nice aromatic saffron in it, all your nice spices.
Look at how pretty
These are some fresh, local, actual pea shoots, sweet pea shoots. So they taste, not sweet pea, I'm sorry, sweet corn shoots.
Sweet corn shoots.
Yes.
Look how pretty that is.
So now we have the paella.
That's gorgeous. I cannot wait to eat that. And what's next?
Next will be the cioppino.
This looks amazing. It smells absolutely wonderful. That's so good yet.
Cooking is sexy. Look how
Speak
sexy
the gospel.
that is.
Amen.
Sexy.
Why is it sexy?
Creative energy, creative energy. It's a creative outlet. You can create anything through food. You can give anybody an experience through food, and they can have a mind-blowing, experience. So that's what I live for.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Caitlin.
Appreciate it.
Folks, it's on to the tasting. When we come back, we're going to show you how this cioppino and this beautiful paella looks. Stick around. We'll be right back. Folks, this is the moment of truth. As you know, my favorite part of our segment. Joining us now is Enrique Peñarúa, the co-founder of Cocha. We have the beautiful, beautiful paella, and we have the cioppino. And before we tell folks what that is, I want you to tell me the story you just told me about how you guys came up with this Venezuelan concept.
Well, AJ, as you know, coming up with a name for everything, if it's a film, if it's a restaurant, it's probably one of the toughest things. It's like naming your baby.
Right.
So we were looking into different things that really would connect the concept to the restaurant, and we were looking at things like local provisions. So the more that we thought about it, we really wanted to get away from being boring, because that's not, Saskia and I are not boring. So we're sitting in the porch of our house, having a glass of wine, like we do some evenings. And I said, Cocha, can you pass me my wine? And all of a sudden, Saskia says, that's it. I go, what? What happened? What happened, honey? She says, that's it. That's the name of the restaurant. It's Cocha. So Cocha is an endearing term that I've used for Saskia forever. It comes from a 80s Latin song that had a lot of beautiful women in the video, which remind me of my wife. But it's just an endearing term. It's sweet, and that's how Cocha was named.
Now you guys have some wonderful Venezuelan-inspired dishes. Speaking of which, tell us what that is. That looks beautiful.
Well, we have here the pork cachapas. It's one of our favorite staples here in the Cocha. We're going to start off with an organic corn cake. We're going to do a braised pork that we braise for about 8 hours, so it's really tender with all the different spices. We're going to do a little crema fresca, a white cheese that we make here in-house. We're going to do a little pickled red onion, and then we're going to do a little microgreen from our friend here in the farmer's market, which resembles a lot wasabi. So you're going to get that little kick in the end.
Great.
AJ, buen provecho.
Thank
Enjoy.
you very much. Thank you. I'm going to get all up and through this pork here, man. It smells wonderful. Please help yourself. Now, what would be the best wine to go with the cachapas?
Well, I think what I would recommend, we have a wonderful ferment. It's a Hungarian white wine. And it's usually used for dessert wines, but in this case, it's going to resemble more of a Sauvignon Blanc, so it really goes well with all the palette that we're going to have here. I would start you off there.
First of all, cachapas are absolutely wonderful. It's a wonderful mix of it with the red onion and the corn cake and the pork. Very, very good.
Salud, my friend.
Salud. That's really good. See, I wouldn't think to have a white wine with a pork. I would think you would need something a little bit
That's where Saskia's knowledge comes in, AJ. We're really getting out of the box with regards to the wines that we carry. The other thing that would go really well with the other two dishes that we have here, it's this beautiful sparkling from Napa. It's a Iron Horse brand, and this was a compilation that they did with National Geographic. Look at that beautiful level there.
Yeah, let me get a little hit of that, because champagne goes with everything.
Everything.
Including this wonderful Cipino.
That's right.
With these remarkable Louisiana crawfish. I'm going to dive right in. Don't wait for me.
Please,
Enrique,
please.
don't wait for me.
Enjoy, my friend.
Oh man, this is great. And of course, if you guys want more information about Louisiana crawfish, you can always go to louisianacrawfish.org, or you can go to our website at twilatv.org. This paella is absolutely excellent. If you guys want more information about Cocha, Baton Rouge, or any of the ingredients you've seen here on this particular segment, you can always log on to our website at twilatv.org. That's all from here, folks. Come check us out. We'll see you next time.
Cocha founders Enrique Peñarua and Saskia Spanoff source many of their ingredients from the Red Stick Farmers Market. For more information about Cocha, just log on to our website at twilatv.org.
Looks tasty. In this edition of Trending on TWILA, we're letting the good times roll as we celebrate the end of carnival season on social media.
From Shreveport to the Big Easy, photos from local Mardi Gras celebrations covered our newsfeed this week. Lots of folks enjoyed Avery's story from last week about Mamu Mardi Gras. It racked up more than 35,000 views and nearly 900 shares on Facebook.
Thanks a lot for you guys watching it. We also saw lots and lots of colorful king cake photos that left our stomachs growling for a slice. While many of you posted yummy photos of king cake from your favorite bakeries, several people tried their hand at making their own king cakes at home. Gabrielle Trudeau shared this photo of her first homemade king cake, and it looks pretty darn delicious. The Junior League of New Orleans even hosted their own king cake baking class for its members.
Kelly Krill Harmon shared this tasty photo with the caption, "When you can't have meshes, you make your own." Hashtag Indiana Mardi Gras. Maggie Stork said she likes to eat her king cake in the kitchen, so she literally doesn't have to move to get seconds or thirds. And I would have to agree with her, except for I usually finish off the entire cake in one sitting.
I typically do the same. While Louisianians celebrated carnival season, FFA members from across the nation celebrated their organization during National FFA Week. From Facebook to Twitter, celebrities, politicians, current and former FFA members all joined together to show their support for the FFA program.
The National FFA website posted an interactive Google map of all the different FFA Week activities going on across the country. Tractor Supply Company launched their Grants for Growing program to collect donations and raise funds for local FFA chapters all week long. And we even welcomed the Louisiana FFA officers to our State Farm Bureau office on Monday. And Avery, you were there. Tell me a little bit about how the
Oh, it was great. I mean,
the
tour went great. The kids came in. I say kids, they're young men and women who are the future leaders, not only in agriculture, but overall. I've always noticed just how confident FFA members are. But what was really neat, they got to come up here into the TWILA studio, see how we do things, and I think they loved watching the bloopers that you and I do. We're not going to show them here. We're not going to show them here.
Good thing. Well, moving on to this week's trending trivia. Last week our question was, in medieval times, which internal organ was believed to cause love? And the correct answer is C, the liver. This week's question is, about how many FFA jackets are manufactured each year? Is it A, 50,000, B, 150,000, or C, 500,000? To enter this week's trending trivia contest, simply log on to your Facebook or Twitter account and post your answer with the hashtag TWILATrivia, or you can always submit your answer on our website at twilatv.org.
Well, that does it for this edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. Be sure to join us next week when we'll take a look at the food after Mardi Gras, some Lenten favorites across South Louisiana that, you know, we have to endure, and I'm speaking specifically about crawfish, okay? Every Friday, crawfish, it's such a tough penance.
Bless our hearts.
For all of us here at TWILA, I'm Avery Davidson.
And I'm Kristen Oaks White. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again right here next week.